For me, there's a whole stack of evidence. It wasn't like it started, with Gwen.
Yeah.
Let's go back to much earlier when I first went to England, and when Dora and I first got together, which was around 68, we had lots of ghosts.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't believe in the ghosts at the time, and I thought that was rubbish, but it used to happen. We have a knock on the front door, knock on the back door, you go to the front, or knock on the back, and knock on the back, and knock on the front. Things like this, footsteps up to the bed in the middle of the night. I had my books thrown across the room at me, nobody there. So these things sort of impress you that there's something there. So that was the first thing that told me that there is something more than we understand. There is life after death, there are ghosts. So that was sort of the beginning, but it again, to me that's not the whole story. It's like, that's the indicator that there's much more to life than we understand. And I think that's the problem for most people. Most people do not understand what life really is. They think, life's all about getting a new house, a new car, and going to the pub, and getting another surfboard. And, it's not what life's about at all. So, for me, that was the first clue. And then I did the reincarnation research. And again, we got the same story over and over. And I think for me, the pattern in the initial stage is what was important, because we got the same pattern over and over and over, the same pattern. People died, they described the same thing. They described the other world, what life's about, they gave the same description.
Try to pick my body up to get it moving, so we could go and find Papa. It wouldn't move. It felt cold and funny. I felt myself being drawn away from there. No reason to stay. It's like I'm being lifted. And I'm being drawn towards a very bright light.
And I just wanted to go to the light. And when we came out, the end, it was all white and bright.
It's so green. The greenest green I've never seen green so green. The flowers look so bright. Like they've all been polished.
It's so green. Everything's so lovely and green. The flowers are such bright colours.
They described being born, they gave the same description. It was the same sort of pattern. And then when I had a guy, some businessman who came to me for a problem, he went back to a past life. He didn't believe, because he was a hard-nosed businessman, he didn't believe himself when he woke up, he thought it was ridiculous. But he was cured over about 3 or 4 months by going back to this past life. So that then opened my mind a little bit more, opened the door a little bit more. So then I did all this research, and that's when Gwen came up with all the stuff that she came up with. With Gwen, she gave enormous evidence. It was just tremendous evidence. But the one thing that was really solid evidence was the fact that she was able to tell us of a buried stone in England, in a country she'd never been to. She was able to know a way around that country and take us to where that was buried. The stone, she drew the markings on it and held up her hand and said it had 3 stonemasons marked 3 fingers on the top of it. And when we got there, that stone, we uncovered the stone, we dug up the stone. It had the markings on it, it had the 3 fingers on the top of the 3 corners. And there was no one who knew. I mean, the people that owned the property, had no idea that that stone was there. Nobody else in the world knew that stone was there. The only person who knew was Gwen in the country on the other side of the world. And she took us, when we flown to that country, to the stone and dug it up. That was the most irrefutable piece of evidence. So, and that wasn't the only piece of evidence, she gave lots of evidence. but that was a particularly strong one. So when you look at the evidence, when you look and you see the evidence, and you put the picture together, all the people giving the same story, they're going around the world, different people being able to retrace the steps of their life.
God, I can't look. Oh God, there it is. Ah, it's a tower.
Giving the evidence for us, it shows you that most people don't have a clue about what the true meaning and purpose of life is. Even people who go to church. What we're given is we're given an awareness. That's what we're created with. We're created with awareness. But it's like a blank awareness when we start. So then you've got to add to it, like when you're born, a little baby is born. We tend to think of babies, of course, as a tabula rasa, which means that it's a blank slate. Babies, of course, are not blank slates. Babies have lifetime memories in the unconscious. In fact, a lot of babies remember their past lives up to about 4 or 5. So, but I think in the beginning we are born, or we are created as an awareness. We are aware, but we don't have much knowledge of something. So we do a lot of foolish things, and we make a lot of foolish mistakes, and slowly grow and through life. One of the greatest things of life is experience and knowledge and learning and growing and experimenting. And that is what life's about. If you want to grow, if you want to become wise, then get into life. Don't run away from it.
Absolutely.
And this is the point. That you can't sort of say, I'm going to sit on a mountaintop and pontificate to everybody when I've had no experience and be the great guru, because you're not. You actually learn by the hard knocks. You learn by life. You learn by experience. And the people who actually sit down and tell you it's all crap are people who've never studied it in their life. So that's what we have. We actually have a lot of ignorance, a huge amount of ignorance in this world, where people are all saying and talking and teaching things they don't know about. And this gets back to what we were talking about earlier, that you've got a problem on the one side where in this whole field there's so much bullshit going on. There's so many people making things up, and that's a fundamental, to me that's a fundamental dishonesty. When we start saying, oh yes, well I'm Cleopatra or I'm whoever, or we start saying other things that I talk to the angels or whatever, and it's not really true. That is doing a huge amount of disservice to this whole area, because it brings it all down to rubbish. So, but on the other hand, we have the scientists who are saying, who they don't know anything about. They've never studied reincarnation. They've never studied the mind. They've never gone out and tried to prove anything. They don't know anything about neuroscience or neuroanatomy or anything to do with it. And now they're telling you that it's all rubbish. So they're the same as the people who are making it up on this side, using their knowledge about something they don't know to use their credentials to poo-poo something. So on both sides, we've got this falsity. And that's been one of the biggest problems of my life, walking this balance down the middle, where I've had run-ins with people at the uni, whereby people say, oh, it's all rubbish, and I say, no, it's not. And they say that, and you can't blame them, because they see so much rubbish that's out there. And we need to bring it back to reality, because the reality is there, the proof is there, the evidence is there, it's in that, it's written and it's there. And we filmed it. It's not only in the book, but it was filmed live. So it's all there, the evidence is there, the stories are there. And we need to recognise that the whole field needs to be brought back into reality. If you go back 2,000 years, the people who lived 2,000 years ago probably thought they knew it all. Mm. If you look at a child of about 12 years old, they definitely do know it all. But when you get to about 60, you realise, well, maybe you don't know it all. Mm-hmm. So you get to know less as you get older. And as civilization goes on, so we begin to realise the less we know. And the more there is to learn. If you go back even 150 years and say, well, I'm going to create it. Dick Tracy wristwatch, where you look at the time, but you also talk to people, and they would have said you're crazy. Or in 1780 said, look, we're going another 100 years, we're going to fly to the moon. Yeah. They would have said you're nuts. So, as we go on, we learn that the things we thought were impossible are possible. So we then go back to what Gwen said under hypnosis, that there is so much far beyond us that we'd never understand. And until we reach the level where we can understand, we're not told. And I think that is the secret of life. On earth you come and you learn, and then you move on to a higher level. Now let's get back to, we're talking, you're just bringing up dreams. Let's talk about Brad's dreams. Forget mine for the moment. Brad's been having dreams, like he was telling us today, about the changes coming in for his own life. Dreams he's having about the changes coming for RMI. They're symbolic, but he's getting the same sort of dreams as I am. And why is he doing that? He's doing it because he's taking note of them. He's listening to them. Tanya's getting a few dreams because she's interested in them, she's listening to them. When you open your mind to it, you get the message, and over time you begin to understand it and you begin to trust it. And when everybody starts listening to their dreams, but knows how to interpret them, knows how to understand them, knows what they're saying, the bullshit will all disappear out the window because everybody will be getting reality. And then people won't need to sort of take the word of me or take the word of Brad or take the word of anybody else. They'll be able to learn for themselves from their own work, their own dreams. I've spent many years, it's taken me, 40 years, but I've developed that clear channel between my conscious and my unconscious self, only in dreams, or in meditation if I go deep enough. But it's not something I have awake. I don't get anything at all awake. It's only when I'm in that older state. So if you don't develop that, if you don't spend the time, then you'll always get distortion, and you'll always get... Because distortion fundamentally, think of yourself, your conscious self, as having a little radio antenna. And if you want to collect messages from your higher self, from the unconscious to the conscious, it goes through your little radio antenna, and if there's a lot of static there, it doesn't come through clearly. So it comes through in a symbolic form, and the more the static, the more symbolic. The less the static, the less symbolic. I mean, a lot of my dreams, I don't even get a symbol, I just get told things. And sometimes the symbols, if I do get them symbolic, they're so clear, the symbols are so clear, blind Freddy could work them out. So you only need to develop that within yourself. You need to develop that clear channel between conscious and unconscious, and that is basically your little radio set, or your radio antenna. And that takes work and it takes time.
Is it through meditation, Peter?
Through meditation and following your dreams. You've got to follow them, you've got to listen to them. And if you have trouble in the morning, write them down. Just get a book and write it down so you remember it. Because that stimulates that unconscious part of yourself. From the soul self, if you can't be bothered even remembering your dream or writing it down, then it's going to say, well, you don't care, why should I? You know, it's like you've actually got to develop that contact. And you'll find that those dreams will come. They'll probably only come at important times, but they will come. And when you need them, they're there. And if you understand what they're saying, they'll give you a whole different complexion on life. Your dreams go beyond this conscious arena, the four walls that we live in, the physical world. Your dreams go beyond that. They go into the future, they go to what other people will do, and they advise you. I mean, I remember once, this is a dream I've mentioned to you before, where I was really fed up one night. I was really and truly just fed up of life. And I went to bed that night, and I started dreaming as I usually do. And in the dream, somebody from upstairs came into the dream and says, "What's up?" You know, and I let him have it, you know, with both barrels. And he said, "Well," he said, "don't blame us." He said, "You chose it." So that gave me the message. I knew from then on that my life was what I chose. And I know that I'm completing certain things, and I know that when I die, there are certain things coming my way on the other side. It's like a school, it's a test, and they're things I've chosen. And I think for anybody above a certain level, and I say that's for everybody here, you've chosen your life. How many years did it take for humanity in a known history? How long did it take for us to work out what the human body was all about? About 2,000 years. So, if we're going to take 2,000 years to understand what the human body's about, isn't it reasonable to assume that it's going to take a lot of study, a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of time to really understand what life is all about, what the mind is all about, what humanity is all about. And I think this is where people get it wrong. They think, well, I've only got to be born, walk around, ride my surfboard and play games, and I'm going to have it all. But what's given me the knowledge I've given is 40 years of, what is it now, 40 years, over 40 years of constant, about 45 years of constant research and study into the mind, into life, into people. And so you're not going to gain anything by just sitting around and doing nothing, because that's what you normally gain. I mean, to do the same with the human body. If it wasn't for the researchers who researched the human body, we wouldn't know anything about it today. So it's the same with the mind, it's the same with life. Unless you research it, you don't know about it. So once you develop the tools, then it's almost limitless what you can understand by yourself. And those first tools are to be able to access your own inner mind. I mean, one of the dreams I had, in a dream, I was on another planet or another place on the far side of the universe, and it was just like utopia. And I had to die because I had to have a job. It was a job I had to do. So I died on that planet. I was taken across the universe, and I was brought to Earth. And I was aware that Earth was like the bum end of the universe. It was dark, it was dingy, it was horrible. So, but I knew that I'd never get back to that beautiful place until I finished the job I had to do here. So, I think that's what life's about. There's many, many, many levels. And we don't even have the foggiest clue of understanding about the highest levels, because we haven't got the lowest ones under our belt yet. And when we finish with the lowest ones, then we'll go to the next one and so forth. But once you reach the highest, then you wouldn't bother coming back to the lowest. When you look around and you see what people are doing, they are failing at every level. Every level. It's the love you feel towards people, towards other people. And if you feel an empathy, a love, a generosity,
It'd be lovely if our
kindness,
politicians were all like that, where they had a true love for people.
it'd be fantastic.
It'd be fantastic.
It'd be fantastic. We have a wonderful world.
We
But
would.
just think about what a wonderful world we'd
Would
have
be.
if everybody in the world felt that love
Oh.
towards each other.